So this is Pam Electric from our home studio in lovely Concord, Hampshire. Now this episode is called, we're basically calling it Down Pillow Scenes, which is a brand new project we've been working on the heels of a couple other projects. Like on February 10th, we released 2020 Ghost album, Trash Wave. The Trash Wave is available now on Spotify, Apple, Tidal, Amazon, everywhere. You can check that out. It's a combination of a punk aesthetic with new wave vibes, and it's somewhat explicit. So if you're not into that, it's got to feel like Dirty Mind in terms of the lyrical content, but a vibe like a punk aesthetic mixed with new wave, kind of like Joy Division, New Order, mixed with like the punk aesthetic of a Husker Du Replacements or Clash type of feel. Now, the other thing we'd like to tell you is that you check out Newsly. We are a featured podcast on Newsly. Use coupon code GHOST. Receive 1 month free premium subscription so you can stop scrolling and start listening. Fam Like the Ghost is a featured podcast on Newsly, and we typically interview all kinds of cool people. We initially started interviewing singer-songwriters, creative people, actors, filmmakers, painters, but now we interview life coaches, authors, mentors, shamans, all kinds of people. So if you DM us on our YouTube channel, which is YouTube.com/at Fam Electric Ghost, or on our Instagram, Fam Electric Ghost, or on our website, www.famelectricghost, you can schedule an interview, or you can go to Podmatch and you can use that sign up below. So you go to https:/podmatch.com, sign up /Fam Electric Ghost, and that's the best tool for managing your podcast. If you can get guests, you can figure out how to be on people's programs. So I'm a there, and we've been in the top 20 of the hosts on the platform since last year, June. We keep on hitting that sometimes in mid-month. We've done over almost 51 interviews through that platform, and they allow you to have, it's basically like a Tinder for podcasters. So it matches you with host and guest and host match up, and then you get commission as a host. And as a guest, you get to promote your podcast or whatever you're doing, and it's a pretty cool tool. Now back to the music, we're going to show a video for a brand new song we created for this project. Launched album for 20 years, an album called Down Pillow Scenes, which actually is the title track is a song we did a couple years ago that we really liked with the Josephine Electric voice. So this is kind of like the follow-up to Josephine Electric, which comes out in March. There might be the prelude. Kind of not sure when I'm going to put it out. But the link to this is actually going to be in the description of this podcast. There's a Down Pillow Scenes playlist on SoundCloud where you can listen to everything free, and then it will get put out there on all the other streaming services sometime this year. Now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to show the video for one of the songs from the album, which actually is an instrumental that we were working on yesterday. Now, we're going to dive into this particular song and talk about our process. So we initially wrote this song called Flowering Lotus, and we used, which is a Dawless groove box, kind of like an Akai MPC. For those of you that know what an MPC is, the Akai Force is like an MPC on steroids with touch pads, with soft synths that you can basically plugins that you can put in on an Ableton like 8-row clip structure. It's standalone, doesn't need a computer, has Wi-Fi. You can go get downloads from Akai, different instruments. Like we've got a Mellotron loaded and ARP, different ARPs on there. So we've got all kinds of interesting things in there. Like in our ARP Odyssey, we have loaded. We've got like the Mini D, which is a replication of a Moog Model D. And what's cool about the Akai Force is it actually has called a song mode called arrangement mode. And you can kind of DJ a song by taking clips and then have this open-ended multi-track that allows you to pop clips in from the rows or actually play live with the pads, which is not that different from what we do with our multi-track structure. So what we did with the song that we're going to show you a video for was flowering low on the Akai Force with this arrangement mode. We, in addition, had as a MIDI instrument, we used the Roland Boutique JD-08, which some people have not given good reviews, but I feel it's an awesome synth because it's basically a JD-800, which was one of Roland's great digital synths. It had kind of like a D50 has like a 4-part structure. It's called like basically tone A through D, but it has a time variant filter and a time variant envelope, multiple LFOs, multiple mode filter with band pass, high pass, low pass, has a lot of controls. So on the JD-08, it's been miniaturized. So you have all these controls, which was really cool if you think about it. The JD-08, one of the things I like about it is I like Moogs, I like Euroracks, I like having controls as a synth head. The more controls I have, I make it part of my performance, which is kind of like why Roland just came out with this new SH4D that has tons of controls up front. And just like their Jupiter X and Juno X, having the controls on the panel instead of diving down like what you had to do on the D50 or the DX7 from Yamaha is this makes it more your sound part of your performance. So what I like about the JD-08 is it has all those controls. So what I did with the Kai Force, it allows you to have has a lot of I/O, which is like input output, which means you can make it your central control unit for a lot of things. You can hook up Euro racks, you can hook up mixers. I have the Zoom L8 mixer, which I'm using right now with this mic, hooked up to the Kai Force, and then the JD-08 going in through USB-C MIDI into the Kai Force. I created a drum beat using the drum set within one of the drum plugins. Used the JD-08 as a MIDI track, and initially did a MIDI track using the pads that was maybe like 16 steps long. You can set the steps for every plugin. When you go into arranger mode, you can have like 8 rows of plugins. You can kick them off and you can isolate them. So you could have on the first row like all your plugins happening. But then when you go to the second row, you could just have your drums, you could just have a bass, you could just have the MIDI channel. You can start to isolate them. So then you can kind of DJ record the recording by saying, oh, I'm going to hit clip 1, which has all the plugins, and then clip 2 for a couple of bars, and then go back to clip 3 or go to 4, go back to 1. So you can see you can chain pattern in real time. And basically, once it's in arranger mode, it's like clocking like a recorder mode. It allows you to kind of DJ your song, and then it saves that song with the choices you made, and you can go back and edit it. But I like to just kind of leave it as it is or re-record it. Then the next step is we take that recording and output the 1/4-inch lines, the 2 left and right channels, into a Zoom Live Track L8 multi-track, which was what we're using the podcast. It's connected to this mic. So I bring that into channel 7 and 8, which are 1/4-inch lines. And then it records channel 7 and 8 as the output. So I actually play the arrangement mode into the L8, recorded the track 7 and 8, and then I actually have it right into my Zoom. So then I can actually either put vocals on track 1 or add other things into it through the multi-track. I like to put my vocals through the L8 rather than, but I don't like to sample my vocals and put it that way. I just don't do that. But so we initially created this track that we call flowering lotus or flowering. We outputted it to the Zoom Live Track L8, got it to a SD card, and then used another multi-track called the R20. Now the R20 has the ability to take in a WAV file and load it to a mono or stereo track. So we loaded it into the R20, which is on the other side of the room with all these other instruments. So once we did that, we were able to then overdub into the line and a System 1M ARIA synth from Roland. That is a behavioral analog behavioral modeling synth, which is a digital synth that basically replicates analog behavior. It's a two oscillator, I think it's one LFO, yeah, two oscillator, one LFO Roland synth that kind of can model multiple things. It came before the System 8. It's four note polyphonic. We usually use it in one note polyphonic, has digital effects and digital delay and a reverb. But it's a very interesting synth. It's got a lot of sliders, kind of like a Juno to program. And it sounds fantastic. It's very good for atmospheric stuff. So we took that Akai composition, loaded it through the WAV file, assigned it to a stereo track on tracks 1 and 2. We brought that in, and then we moved it to track 7 and 8. So then we could bring in the System 1M. So the System 1M came into an MX1 performance mixer and then hit into the Zoom R20 on a separate line, came into stereo lines 1 and 2. And we used an Arturia BeatStep Pro, which had pads on it. Not as many pads as an Akai, but we kind of programmed it the same way we do on a Force. We actually use the pads to enter in the notes. And so we multi-tracked original playing, not just a clip. We played live to the track with the System 1M. Now, we actually did that as the second piece. We initially came in and we created a bass line on a Moog Grandmother that we actually have going through a DI box from Behringer. And the reason we have to do that is the R20 only has two TRS quarter-inch inputs. And the output of a Grandmother is TRS, but when you send it to an XLR, you can't hear it. So you have to run it through a DI box, convert that signal, add gain to it, then in order for it to be heard on an R20. So we have the Moog headphone output goes into a Behringer DI box, that then goes into an R20. It gets boosted by a couple dB, like 6 dB or 12 dB. So then it becomes, it basically is transformed or given a bigger boost so we can hear it. We also have separation because we separate it so it's getting its own channel on the R20. So as I said, the Akai Force came in on channel 1 and 2. Then we moved to the 7 and 8 so that we could bring the System M onto. That's one cool thing about the R20. You can move tracks around. Because the R20 can only take quarter-inch on lines 1 and 2. So if you have instruments on 1 and 2 and you need to take another instrument that's only coming from a quarter-inch, you have to move it to a different track. And it's easy because it has a touchscreen. You can just copy a mono track or a stereo track and then paste it to a mono or stereo track, and you got 16 tracks that you could work with. So we just took track 1 and 2, moved to 7 8. They opened up 1 and 2 so we could record the System 1M. Now, our Moog Grandmother is on a dedicated track. We have it on track 3, and our Moog DFAM and Mother 32 are on tracks 4. We didn't really use the DFAM or the Mother 32 on this track, but we used an Akai as a WAV file, brought it in, and then we're able to overdub a Grandmother and a System 1M. And it also is like the JD-08, which was recorded with the Akai Force. So now I'm actually going to play a video of that song so you can hear it. So we create our own video EFKT on our iPhone. And so you're going to see the video for the song. New version that we overdubbed all this additional stuff on the R20 is called Flowering Lotus Passion. And it features the Grandmother, System 1M, JD-08, and the Akai Force. So without further ado, we're going to play this song right now. So this is Phantom Electric Ghost, and we're back, and that was the song that's going to be released shortly from the scenes, the playlist, SoundCloud, and that link is included on this episode description. So what we're going to get into next is we're going to get into a song from Down Pillow Scenes. We're actually going to take a track, which is an older song that we created a couple of years ago. Now, this song has the vocal by Josephine Electric, our fictional lead singer of the band. And again, we're going to mention like the best tool for your podcast is Podmatch. And you can see that sign up below. You can go to podmatch.com/sign up/Phantom Electric Ghost. You can get tools to match guests for your podcast. You can increase your podcast presence by getting reviews through Apple Podcast. It encourages people to review your podcast as part of the completion process. So every time you get a guest or a host, you can get a review on your Apple Podcast, and that can help push your podcast on many, many platforms. And you also get commissions for guests that pay from like 2 times commission to 10 times commission rates. And we've done pretty well. We've made about $150 a month from guests, and we're running from maybe 4 guests a month without podcast up to 11 to 14 podcast guests a month. Sometimes we hit as much as $300 a month from doing something we love to do. So that's kind of cool. So we're going to go without further ado and play the title track from this new idea for an album, which is a playlist on SoundCloud. You can go to our SoundCloud Family Electric Ghost and go to Down Pillow Themes. We're going to play the song Down Pillow Themes.
I know it's not easy being a man. You got me so to be exactly where you want me to be. Don't be greedy, I'm not easy. Don't be greedy, don't be cleaner. No, exactly what you don't need. I know, you're looking glassy. Oh, why you got me a raspberry face? Oh, shit. Is that not clean? That's not clean. Yeah, that's that down pillow thing. Where you got me. It's not easy to being clean. All those open on that scene. It's not easy trying to be a man. I know you can't stay with me. And we're into that down pillow. Where we try to be just each other's men. I'm not Instagram queen. I'm not Instagram queen. I'm not your Instagram queen. I'm not anything but another part of between the sheets. I'm not anything that you need. Well, don't you know I'm the last thing you need. Sonic just ain't easy to be. We got all the truth. Dude, one is so damn plain. Sonic just not easy thing to be. We got all these producers cloning memes. That's not me. MC202 is everything to me. Yeah, I am most certainly not clean. But it will be, it will be. I call it producers don't need it often. Into that down the pillows. I'm into everything you don't need. My system on M&E. We get down between the sheets. It's MC202. No, you don't understand. You don't know you're this woman. Oh, man. Down Pell City. C202 thing. You're at the business. And you know I could bet you read anything. Bet you and anything. I can bet you down in anything. I'm in that dirty MC202. And I could bet it down in a wet dream. I know you can't get into the old material thing. I could bet it down into anything. I know you don't feel that hole. You don't feel anything but the sound of your own voice that rings every time you try. you wanna tap that there. I know that's every time you want to tap that thing. The down pedal thing. Alright, the side is in it. I know.
Stop it right now. And so that was Down Pillow Scenes, and we're back. And we've been talking about a brand new project that we're working on. And yeah, it's just a little slow today, but the brand new project is this idea we call Down Pillow Scenes, and that's the title. It's an older Family Electric Ghost song that we brought back. It's got featuring Josephine Electric, our original lead singer of the band. Again, you can check out the last album we did last year called Peg Forever, which is out there on all streaming services. We also have Trash, which is out there on all streaming services. That's the latest 2023 record. Then we have an album called Josephine Electric. It's going to feature Josephine Electric exclusively. And then we lost our mic for a second. So what I'm saying, we're going to talk about the new song, new album, Down Pillow Scenes. And we've got some more tracks from that album. And we're going to go into that in a second. So there's a brand new record that's going to come out for the second record for this year. First record was Trash Wave. And you can see the playlist here for Down Pillow Scenes. And we did a cool song a couple days ago that we like a lot. We're going to play it in a couple seconds. We were into a lot of interesting stuff with some of this album, and we've been playing a lot with a lot of the songs, and it's just interesting what we've been able to do with the sounds that we're getting from these tools that we talked about, our hardware synths. And there's something about using a hardware synth that's it's really vital, and it feels pretty cool when you're working with it. And we're actually going to play a song, not from this album, because there's another album called Josephine Electric, and we're going to play a song from there that we like a lot. So I'm going to bring those songs up, get to it. I did a lot of interesting songs with this album, and it's a lot of songs that we've been working on for a long time. And yeah, I'm trying to find the song I really like. Dressed Up Trash Run, which actually is supposed to be on Down Below Scenes, but I don't have it there. So Dressed Up Trash Run is another Josephine. Well, it's actually not a Josephine Electric song, but it's one of my songs. It kind of has a little bit of a Josephine vocal on it, but it's it's more inspired as a Peg Family Electric Ghost song, and I like it a lot. So we're gonna play. It's an interesting song. Basically, it was created during the beginning of the pandemic when people were at home, and I actually saw this news article about somebody who got dressed up because they're on lockdown to take out the trash. They actually got dressed up to go take the trash out, and they dressed up like they were going out to a party, but they just dressed up to take the trash out. So I called it Dressed Up Trash Run. Thought it was kind of funny. We're going to play it right now. I know a new age flash. I know the deep like that. I know you're the new age flash. I got dressed up to take out the trash. Take a step forward, step back. You can hear this new age flash. Take a step forward, step back. You're gonna feel the new age flash. They're gonna think forward and
step back, take a leap forward and go like that. And show your flash, just like Dad's old Cadillac. You know I'm a new age dad. I get dressed up, check up the trash. But stay home. You know you're more than drunk. I know this Rona goes. I don't wanna be, I don't wanna be, no. Step back, it's new age flash. I know the public has laughed. And get dressed up, you take out the trash. Take a step forward, a step back. And go pause, take out my Cadillac. You know this new age fad. I get dressed up, take out the trash. I know I'm staying at home. I know that I'm not known. I stay, but I wanna go. That road bang, I don't wanna know. I dress it all. Take a step forward, a step back. It's no age flash. And no, don't take cash. Get dressed up, take out the trash. I was like Cadillac for until time. And no, that shit look fine. And no, that I am denied. I know you look me in the eye. Stay got 6 feet back. I don't want the royal attack, but stay at 6 feet back. I get dressed up to turn out the trash. It's a new age flash. Step forward, step forward, back. Ain't nothing like it like that. Please keep us 6 feet back. I know that you like it like that, but please stay at 6 feet back. I know that you like it like that, but stay at 6 feet back.
So we're back, and that was a Dressed Up Trash Run, and that is a song that we actually lost track of. I don't think we ever officially released it anywhere other than SoundCloud, so that's where I try to put it on this new album. So this has been a preview of a brand new project called Down Pillow Scenes, and that's one of the songs that will be on it. Yeah. And check out Take Forever. You can see the link there. It's on all streaming services. That's our big album from 2022. Trash Wave is out now. It's a kind of hybrid, just like a new wave of a lot of cool songs that each has one of the singles. That's an album that we really like a lot. We have the Josephine Electric album, which is going to feature primarily, well, it's all Josephine Electric. And then this Peg, Down Pillow Scenes is primarily with a couple of instruments that we actually we were talking about the new song that we had, and so check all out. Check out the please check us on YouTube. Sam Electric Ghost. About cats again, I'll put up a podcast, which we think is a pretty cool service if you're a podcaster. And being a musician, I've gotten into podcasting. It's actually a good way to bring people into your world as a musician, because you get attention. We do 3-4 podcasts a week, so it brings our name recognition out there. People say, "Well, you like Peg as a host of a podcast," and we check out his music. So you go to podmatch.com/sign up/ Fan Electric Ghost. It's like a Tinder for podcasters. You can get really cool tools, see your profile. You tell people what your podcast is about. People match with you, and then you actually can communicate with them within the podcast platform, schedule a podcast, and actually have all your podcasts clearly marked. It's an integration with Calendly, so you can have your Calendly up to date with your podcast. They get to see your guest gets to see when you're available, and they have your Calendly on Podmatch. You can see your schedule, you can see your integrations. We use StreamYard to actually schedule live podcasts. So we integrate that and then make it matches the calendar. And then we got everything synced up. And then when you go into StreamYard, if you configure a podcast date, your YouTube and Facebook links can be sent ahead of time to your guests so they can help cross promote and you can promote on your platforms of podcast time, our guests, people can see them, and then later we use Anchor FM to push them out to multiple platforms, including Spotify Podcast and Apple Podcast, and other places. So it's cool. Check it out. Again, use that podmatch.com/sign up/Fan Electric Ghost. And you can check it out. That's our early podcast guest. We never really earned it when we first started back in 2016 on Spearman, and we moved to Anchor. We still use Anchor for distribution, and now we use StreamYard with podmatch.com. It's a cool combination with Anchor to your podcast. So check out all this. Thank you for listening to Fan Electric Ghost. Bye now.